Welcome to our presentation on tracking movements of air-breathing marine vertebrates. We are going to discuss digital tagging of marine animals and seabirds, audio surveys and visual surveys. Being able to track marine animals provides insight into the species' health, migration, behavior, physiology and their interactions with and the health of the surrounding environment. This data helps to protect migration routes and tackle overfishing, and to reduce boat strikes, pollution, and habitat loss. Digital tags greatly reduce researcher disruption and can track remotely over entire migration routes, as well as on smaller scales using either GPS, global positioning systems, or an accelerometer and magnetometer. It is also essential to know depth and altitude, so a pressure sensor is included to record depth and vertical speed. However, this is often sensitive to errors. Altitude informs researchers how birds interact with the terrestrial landscape, their diet, prey capture methods, and whether they are at risk from aeroplanes. Because seabirds tend to be at the top of marine food webs, changes to the lower trophic levels and from ocean pollution will be reflected in their populations, making them important to the study of marine ecosystems. This can be seen through the increased threat from fishing since 2010. It is also important to track marine mammals, because they can be both predator and prey, and many are endangered. Their health and diet can be inferred from the depth, duration, and frequency of their dives, allowing effective protections to be developed. Also, tracking migration means the routes of ships can be adapted to reduce their impact. As of 2015, approximately 20 species of marine mammal have been fitted with digital tags. The dives and migrations reconstructed from this data is more informative and accurate than 2D modeling alone. Dugongs are marine mammals in the order Sirenia, listed by the International Union for Conservation of Nature as vulnerable to extinction. To protect their populations, it is essential to understand dugong interactions within their home range. In a study by Tracy et al. In 2014, a GPS tag was attached to the dugongs in a similar fashion to that of this image. The satellite tag provides the location, and the time depth recorder, TDR, provides the depth. Acoustic equipment was not used. As shown in this diagram, it was found that when the tide is higher, dugongs remain closer to the shore, and when the tide goes out, dugongs swim deeper to reach the seagrass there. It can be inferred from this that dugongs prefer seagrass closer to shore, and that those patches have a high nutritional value, or that more seagrass is available. The findings of this study identify the proportion of dugong home ranges split between shallow and deep water. This means that the risks from boat strikes and fishing nets can be predicted and counteracted more accurately. It also allows the health of the dugongs and their habitat to be investigated.
For example, dugongs no longer moving into shallower water as the tide rises could indicate a declining quality or abundance of the seagrass. It could also signify worsening dugong health, making them unable to keep swimming these distances. Since the movement of these dugongs has been recorded, any change from normal behaviour will be easier to notice, so identifying and rectifying any possible problems will be faster and more effective.
Despite all the benefits there are still issues in tagging air-breathing marine animals. Tags can lower the breeding success for those fitted with it, and if not fitted properly, the ability to catch food and evade predators could be impacted. Additionally, the method by which digital tags determine the animal's current position assumes that it moves the way it is facing. This does not factor in drift, where external factors, primarily ocean currents, move the animal horizontally. So the animal's location becomes more and more inaccurate over increasing time and distance.
Many air-breathing vertebrates make sounds, so it's possible to track their movements using microphones or hydrophones. Some examples are the raucous cries of seabirds, songs of whales, and the clicks, whistles and grunts that are heard underwater. Cetaceans are able to produce high-frequency clicks up to around 100 kHz, used for communication and to echolocate their prey. Many of these are outside the range of human hearing, but can be picked up by sensitive microphones or hydrophones, usually either secured to the seabed or towed along behind a vessel. For positional data, multiple instruments are required, for example the dual hydrophone deep learning model Composite Intelligent Acoustic Tracking. Since around 2009, autonomous underwater vehicles called gliders have been in common use. They incorporate a wide array of sensors, including acoustic ones, and because they have low self-noise, they create minimal disturbance. Recording and processing audio is very data intensive, so there are modern devices such as the Soundtrap, C-Pod and F-Pod. While not effective at low frequencies, for example such as this porpoise which transmits at narrowband high frequency, they can be very effective. They work by logging the frequency, amplitude and duration, rather than trying to record the whole waveform. This is then processed in proprietary software. Software can vary between manufacturers. There is a lack of standardisation so far within the industry, which was one of the challenges, alongside the cost of equipment and how much battery power they require. Access to equipment, if it's on the seafloor or attached to a mooring buoy, is reliant on weather conditions and boats. If you're listening to animals, you're also listening to anything else that can be there, so that can sometimes cause challenges. Even around the south coast of the UK, there's a lot of naval exercises, so they're sometimes a little bit wary about having people listening in. Passive acoustic monitoring is part of the exciting field of bioacoustics or acoustic ecology, which is continually improving as more technology is around. Fixed systems don't disturb the animal and can give precise and continuous data readings, which are less reliant on boat and weather availability. An example of this is evidencing the decline of the Mexican vaquita. In 2008, there were only 245 individuals remaining. Because it was so rare, it was very difficult to track visually. In 2011, an array of 49 C-Pod click rate samplers was deployed to monitor the area. Previous attempts had been patchy as equipment was damaged or caught in fishing gear. Jeremiloh's report showed clear evidence of an annual decline of around 34%. This led to a clampdown on illegal fishing, a ban on gill nets, and removal of ghost fishing gear. Sadly, this hasn't been completely successful yet, but the challenges are better understood. Accurate distribution data relies on observations as well as recordings, so sometimes you just have to get out there on a boat and go and have a look. Surveying can be quite labour-intensive, so it's not uncommon for it to be undertaken by volunteers. Sea-Watch Foundation and Orca are just two examples of organisations who recruit citizen scientists to train and then carry out surveys on board vessels. This is great for increasing public participation and interest. However, there is a risk of bias, as only certain species are going to be found interesting enough for people to want to give up their free time to go out and count them. As well as publishing an annual report on the state of cetaceans, these surveys have also informed baseline data on the population of birds and mammals in Welsh waters, and boat traffic effects and bottlenose populations around Cardigan Bay. Air-breathing marine vertebrates are very diverse, and so there are multiple ways to track their movements. It's important this is done accurately, as they're under threat from so many factors, including noise pollution, plastic and overfishing. Thankfully, most of society now views oceanic creatures as something to respect, admire and enjoy.